Firefighters know that every second counts during the golden hour. That is why first responders trust AMKUS for simple, rugged, reliable rescue tools.
Welcome to Tailboard Talk with
Chris Rasmussen,
Craig Nelson, and Jeff Wallin. Every month we explore different topics of interest to you, our cohorts in fire and emergency services. So whether you sit back and listen, sound off on the message board, or call in live to be part of the conversation, we welcome you to join us in our mission to improve the fire service for those we serve and those we serve beside. Now coming to you live from the Great White North, this is Tailboard Talk on Fire Engineering Talk Radio.
Hey, welcome to Tailboard Talk for Friday, January 17th. This is Jeff.
This is Craig.
And Chris.
So, I'll fulfill my every show obligation, let you know that it's about to get cold up here in the Great White North. It isn't right here right now, but we're in between cold snaps, and it's going to get colder than heck just in time for a city holiday and really enjoying the time off outdoors for us admin folks.
City holiday.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Huh? Gotta like
Must
that.
Be nice.
I like to spend my city holidays reflecting on the organization, the dedication that I have to my service, my profession, and my community. Those are great opportunities to work on.
No one's going to hold
the
this
standard
video
of
against
cover
you.
and strategic plan.
Maybe not. Maybe nobody will hold this against Jeff. You never know.
Or it can be a great day to just hunker in, watch some TV, and make some soup.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to reach those negative 20, negative 40 mile an hour wind chill temperatures. So I like to sit around the house and listen to my furnace.
Oh, yeah.
Watch the money go right out the window.
Yeah, make sure it sounds all right. It's always tough to get a furnace guy out at minus 40. For some reason, they get all
busy all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's what they tell me, at least. They're probably having soup.
Yeah. There's no more sinking feeling on 20 below than when you hear the furnace spool up, you hear the fan kick on, runs for 5 seconds. Whoa, hey.
You know what always amazes me with the cold snaps, cold stretches, is how every year, for those of us in cold weather, you get frozen pipes, and they're in different buildings all over the city. It right. Just as amazed me over the years is, okay, you have a winter and you get a cold snap below zero, it warms up, then the pipes start flowing. We get called to the frozen pipes that had burst. And then the next year it'll happen again. It's a different building.
Yeah.
And then the next year it's a different, it's crazy how you would think the 1 year would get all of them that have
break
a
them all.
weakness. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and we usually see it, gets 20 below, and then when it starts to warm up is when we see pipes start breaking. So get the squeegees out and refresher on the standpipe system.
Yeah.
And
you get the cold stretch, and it freezes the pipe,
solid,
bursts it, but it's frozen solid. And then once you get the warm up, it starts to thaw, and now you get the water flowing.
Leaks all over the entryways. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's always fun. It's just part of living where we do. I'm sure the South has their warm problems, the heat problems. So I don't know. I wouldn't know anything about it, but
yeah,
go from there.
Very, very different from what we have, but right. I do question why I live here every winter about this time.
And do you question it a little bit more, a little bit harder every winter?
Yes, I do.
Last show we had was December 2024, obviously.
Happy New Year, everybody.
I hope everybody's holidays went well and found families and mental health and finances in a good state after the holidays. It's always fun to gather with family, I guess, and friends. So I hope everyone enjoyed that.
What was it you were saying earlier today? Something about the cookies and how good the cookies are.
Oh, yeah.
That's the best part? Was that what you
said? My name is Chris, and I got a cookie problem.
Hi, Chris.
Nothing helps a chubby guy with a table full of cookies.
I have a slight dessert problem.
Cookies aren't dessert. That's breakfast. So yeah, always I'm sure everyone indulged, and do the big meals for holidays and
discovered these new things called Rumagrat bars.
Oh yeah.
And a friend of ours, Mary Anderson, who taught home economics or facts for years, makes them. She's wonderful to hang around because she's always got a lot of good baked goods. Yeah. But my son got the recipe from her, and he made 2 batches, one to take into the ambulance crew on the Christmas Day or Christmas Eve.
Nice.
And the other one he left home. And I pretty much took the whole thing on myself. I like to joke that I have a problem, but it's not really a joke.
Nothing better than Christmas vacation and some Rumagratin. How's it pronounced?
I don't even know what they're called officially. I just eat them.
Yeah. Whatever they are, they're good. So it is 2025. I was just, I'm going to throw a topic out here. I was just the other day.
Impromptu topic.
I was just thinking the other day, as I'm working my way through my 1,000 target solution classes that are assigned for 2025.
Oh, you're going to get them all out of the way right now.
I'm going to try to get them done in January.
You're one of those go-getters.
Yeah, try to get it. I always start the new year with
Rasmussen is always trying to get his stuff done on time early.
Because I like to do nothing in November, December. That's why. Or the summer, or But anyway, I was just thinking I would just finished up a certain class that I was retaking. I finished it up in December. So I think maybe we should talk about.
Maybe. So you passed the quiz at the end of it then, or the test?
Yeah, I mean that was not last month, but this month I did. I kind of remembered some stuff. Yeah, maybe we want to talk about the effectiveness of computer training, and I just maybe it's my age, or maybe it's my attention span, or I really struggle watching the computer screen in training. And I'd like to tell you that I prefer to go to a class, but then I sat in a class the other day and I was kind of nodding off a little bit too. So it might have a lot to do with my age and all those big terms they were throwing out that I wasn't remembering.
Maybe they forgot to buy cookies for the class, so you just didn't really have the motivation.
Maybe I was coming down from the cookie high.
Your wheelchair is just too comfortable.
Those fancy recliner I was sitting in was no.
Those lift chairs are amazing.
I think obviously it's a form of training that is most people know target solutions. I see jokes about it all the time on social media, and it's target solution time or whatever. Mm-hmm. My question to you guys is it effective or not? And that's obviously they put out this class, and they are for the most part decent classes. And then you're tested at the end, so it kind of qualifies you that you learned what you needed to learn in the class, obviously. Mm-hmm. Do you guys find it effective? I'm just going to throw this question out. I'm not going to talk the rest of the show.
Oh, it's kind of like his target solutions classes. He gets them all done at the beginning of the the year.
I have more energy in the morning than I do in the afternoon.
I mean, you're skipping the fall shows.
So, I mean, I just looking for your guys' opinion, and obviously people out there that the 7 people that listen to us probably have their own opinions too. But is this, we started out, obviously we're older, so we started out with, more books, more hands-on class, more speakers, mm-hmm. More firefighters teaching firefighters, EMT, those kind of things. But now we've kind of transitioned into, I'd like to say we're still a combination of both, but we are pretty target solutions heavy. I think it's a good way when you have some downtime. You can pick up a quick hour of training or something that you necessarily might not want to or wouldn't do because you don't have it scheduled or something. But are we getting what we want out of computer-based training? And I don't want to get into a 2-hour show here about it, but what do you guys think? I know, Craig, you're a training guy, so definitely. And then Chief, see what your opinions are on it too. But
I think they're effective for certain things. And as a fire chief, I like to ride the fence. So I'm done talking.
I kind of noticed that with that started very political.
Yes.
Like, oh yeah,
Well, you got the
Target's
next.
great, but it's not the best.
Yeah.
It's not great.
It's very effective for what it is.
My mayor told me it's awesome.
To be honest, when you started asking that, one of the first things I started thinking about, and I talk to people about this a lot, the nature of the fire service makes a lot of things more difficult, I think, sometimes than we realize. And by that, I mean, we are geographically dispersed across communities, counties, so a vast geographical area. So we're physically separated to start with, and then we cover 24 hours a day. We cover our communities, our counties, etc. And so you have to work shift work. And so a shift by nature is going to make it more difficult to communicate, to get messages across. And now you take that group and you put them on shifts, and then you spread them out across a large area in a lot of cases. And so those are two of the things that you could probably do that would make it the most difficult to communicate and to train with them. And then when you tie in with that geographical area, we can't just pull all of our people in and go, hey, we're going to have training today, so everybody come here, and we're going to leave the whole city uncovered. And so when you take those factors into account, it makes it really difficult for us to do that effectively, I think. And so I would never defend that virtual training is fantastic by any means, but I think it fills it helps us achieve what we're trying to achieve.
Right.
So that's kind of my first comment. And the other one is, we do have a lot going on these days. Crews are busy. Call volumes are going up. I know our crews flush hydrants. They inspect. They train. They do pub ed. All extremely important things in our community. Those things contribute to the safety of our community, the insurance rates in our community, a lot of important things. And the effectiveness and safety of our own personnel is what the training contributes to.
Sure. I mean, I think geographically alone, it's a great thing. I set up the shift in the morning and do the schedule, or we talk about what's the plan for the day, and we have eight stations, 10 apparatus, plus, and to start pulling those all together to do one training class would be impossible. We've adjusted by adding some more training officers so they can, maybe have a couple classes a day. That helps, but we've also limited how many crews that can be involved. So, we look at 3 or 4 crews that are in class. Then I got to shuffle stations around a little bit, and station 6 got to go to station 3 to stand by for the morning, and those things and that. So obviously the computer-based training or meetings, via the interwebs, is beneficial in those situations. Yeah. And I'm not a fan of them because I personally don't get the genuine feel sometimes for the things. It's just, how it is. It's just droning on
sometimes they're not tailored to us.
Yeah.
What exactly we're looking for. But I guess where I was kind of going with the last point before I lost myself was the requirements. We have all these requirements. We have OSHA requirements. We have ISO requirements. We're trying to meet all these things, and it's a way for us to efficiently do it. I don't know if it's as effective as we'd like. I think some of their courses are fantastic, but some of them are, just for example, you look at the EMT classes, our folks doing EMT refresher, a lot of those are at a much higher level
than what we need.
Yes, than what we need, so it doesn't always align exactly with what we're wanting out of it. And I know they continue to add courses and so forth. So it hopefully it would continue to get better. But I think we're trying to do a lot of different things, and this is one solution that kind of fits the mold for all these things. It just it's one of those where you're doing a bunch of things kind of well, rather than doing one thing really well. Right. Maybe I'll jump back to, I hate to bring up the word COVID, but it gave us an opportunity to continue to train. Otherwise we would have been locked down.
Yeah.
We couldn't even be near each other in the station. So now this way we can spread out, sit at a computer and
sure.
do those things?
There are a couple areas that I think online training excels at. One of those is with all the different demands going on. If your department has EMTs or paramedics and you've got continuing education built in a live way, one way or the other, what do you do for that person who's on vacation or who's on a shift rate that day and missed the training? How do you make that up? And in the old days, our organization was BLS only. So we had an EMT refresher program. We had a 2-year cycle. And to catch everybody up, the person, the
Instructor,
poor B-word instructor that would have to go through and develop all of the training classes that maybe they've already taught 3 or 4 times over the past 6 years. And it's really hard to find fresh and new material off of the same slides from your textbook provider. So you try to change check textbooks. So maybe the slides are different. Would also have to do the makeups for the people that were gone. So you're waiting till you get enough people together to do the class again. And if you're a big enough organization, maybe you're doing it a 3rd time to get everybody through the one round of material. And so having that as an option to make up hours in a particular subject area for EMT or for your paramedic is wonderful, because how much of that instructor's time do you free up to develop or deliver a different class to somebody?
Sure.
Or you don't have to have as large a cadre of EMT instructors to be able to get everybody through that. I think it also works well for initial OSHA type training. And it doesn't work as well as it could for refresher OSHA type training, because you're usually taking the same class again.
Yep.
And it's difficult to have, you have to have 2 separate classes really to make things work. For a while, we were using Moodle and developing our own in-house things for some of our training. And developing your own in-house content is incredibly labor intensive. And you almost have to violate copyright laws one way or the other to grab enough pictures of your own or things like that off of the internet to make your things work, like that kind of stuff.
Before.
Well, it's for education, so it's fair. It's fair use, right? So it's fair use, and you're not making a profit on it, so maybe it's okay.
That's
But the idea of developing your own online content to do something like, let's say you take confined space awareness. It legitimately takes a fair amount of time for somebody who's never been through that to understand all the hazards in a confined space environment and how to work through that, or trench rescue at a basic level. But to do your annual just required refresher training on that, do you need a full hour again?
Right.
You need a full hour of bloodborne pathogens to cover all of the highlights and make sure that you haven't lost the things that you don't play with every day, like exposure reporting.
Right.
Because if you don't do the refresher training on that and somebody does have an exposure at an incident, there's a better chance than not that they're not going to do the reporting the right way. They're not going to go into the facility where the patient went right after the patient is going there, because it's a skill you don't use that often. So getting somebody to pay attention for an hour of bloodborne pathogen because they're taking the initial class again as a refresher versus having 15 minutes of all of the highlights that are really important now that you've had it once and you're already working in the field. And I wish online providers had those refresher level courses or multiple courses stuck together for like your 1 or 2 classes that give you all of the basic refreshers that you need in smaller chunks smashed together, so to speak. And that's probably a pipe dream to say that you want it that way, but I'd love it if that were the next level of development as well, too. Maybe some people who are really trying to get their ISO hours in might not be as happy about that. Or
right.
But I think that's another thing, though, that it excels at is tracking hours, recording hours, and making it easy for people to know where they sit. The credentials that we use, really, they give a good visual so you know, okay, I'm roughly halfway done with what I need for the year. So it really is effective for those things. And even a lot of the stuff we do in class is still logged through there.
Yep.
And so it tracks it. It makes tracking it so much easier. Again, when you have hundreds of people across a whole city or a whole county, that makes tracking those hours, recording them, and then even the accountability a lot easier.
And on the EMS side, the National Registry's website has been getting better and better all the time of being able to import CAPC classes, the students being able to import their work, the training instructors being able to import group classes for people, and really having a very solid handle on where they're at for their national, state, and local hours and what they have left to do to complete where they're at. And it wasn't nearly as functional 5-6 years ago.
Right.
And it beats any other program that's out there, because we've got some other programs that also attempt to track their EMT through the learning management systems. Doesn't do nearly as well a job because it's just tied into the classes that were done there,
Right.
or whatever you're entering for your local records. And sometimes they just don't 100% jive up with actually also sometimes how they import into the National Registry system.
Right.
So you had a class you thought was an hour that was all cardiac, and you go to import it from an LMS into the National Registry, and then you find out, oh, it's a half an hour of cardio and a half an hour of respiratory, and it said nothing anywhere about that. So if you go to the one source to track how you're doing, it makes that management a lot easier. And our state level coordination of EMS licenses versus your EMS certifications is not nearly as robust or as easy to track where you're at.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good things that it does, and I was, like I say, I was just sitting there going through the process, and I'm just kind of wondering myself, wasn't paying attention to the class, thinking if this was worth my time or not, and obviously it's part of mandatory stuff that we have to get done, and I understand that completely. But there was a class that was assigned, and I'm not going to say the class because one of our local people did the class, but it was an hour and a half class that I had to sit and watch through. You probably could have done it in 15 minutes, give me the spiel, tell me what do's and don'ts, and we move on, So that wasn't a mandatory class. That was a department-led class, but I was getting a little antsy sitting in the chair after a while. So
well, and that is something that online platforms don't always do as well, and that's having changed with adult learning style changes. In the past 10 years. So when we were young and growing up in the fire service or doing continuing ed some of the old fashioned ways, a 40-minute VHS video on this particular fire topic on ladders or whatever it happened to be. I mean, that was kind of the standard, right?
Yep.
Your 30 minutes to 40-minute video on this thing. Let's watch the video. Let's go throw some ladders.
Yep.
Maybe you're doing a skill sheet. Maybe you're taking a test. Maybe not. Depends on your organization. But can you imagine most people are getting that content on YouTube if they're looking at a short drill that somebody has put on in their organization in 5 to 10 minutes? They're hitting the high points without all the extra fluff, and they're going after it and hitting it. And that's the attention span that's there now too. So 1 hour classes online, it's really hard to keep somebody's attention, but something that gets right to it in a live, interesting video format in 5 to 10 minutes. Now let's go out and practice it is really where people are kind of at today. And not all the systems have really caught up with that.
Yeah, and I think obviously this younger generation is very comfortable sitting at Target Solutions and watching.
Well, and that's it. Is part of it. You look at public safety, and the people that are attracted to public safety jobs are action-oriented, hands-on type people, for the most part. So sorry to generalize, but is that part of it too? So it makes it even more difficult for us because I'd rather be out doing something, and I know most of our people would be too.
I do think it needs to be both. You need to do the book work. So obviously the class does the book work, and then you need to do some hands-on stuff because, we all, and firefighters across the nation know that some of these young kids have never done certain things in their life. It's nice to get their hands on those important things that we do.
Mm-hmm. And I think some of my criticism about time is also maybe unfairly placed in the learning management systems as it is on webinars and seminars that some people might put on. Just like you said, you had somebody that was doing their own lecture, I'm assuming, and recording it for a training session. And that was 15 minutes worth of stuff crammed into an hour.
Really appreciate that. Yeah.
An hour's worth of good stuff is great.
Yep.
But dragging it out, and we've restated it the third time now. And
get to the point.
I've seen a couple nearest demonstrations or talks about what the new fire incident reporting system is going to be, that at times are like an hour about nothing. A lot was said and nothing tangible came out of it to help me know where we're going or where we're at. And so you also get pretty critical about the content when you're on there too, which can either turn you on or off to the platforms and make you fear wanting to do other ones in the future.
I'm a very open-minded person, so I'm open to anything, but I also tell you if I don't like it, you know what I mean? And I think that's, I'm just curious what the next generation will look like. You know, what training would look like, because you see, I'm not going to bash some companies, but there's some, what is it, VR, virtual reality stuff out there. I'm like, that doesn't do it. you need to experience certain things in real life with your own eyes, you know.
But some of the virtual reality things are fine.
Right. So, I mean, obviously got to adapt and change to the current use and future, but we also got to hold value to our old school stuff. So I'd be curious what people out there, are thinking and looking about what the future looks like. And do you like the current system? Do you not? And I'm guessing it's 50-50, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of one of those, maybe it's a 2 steps forward, 1 step backward kind of deal. Because in some ways it's not as effective, but in other ways it allows us to do a lot more, reach a lot more. But I look at our academies, and now, we still give them a physical textbook, but they have all the online courses. Yeah. So it's all online. So they're doing the bulk of it online, and they have access to so many resources that we never had. So they're accessing quizzes, and so they know the test is coming up this week, and they can take a ton of quizzes and practice and see where they're sitting and where am I missing questions. And so the technology is helping in a lot of ways. It's just maybe more the incumbents that we need to try and refine some of the classes too. Maybe that's more it. It's just,
well, I mean, it's
more better classes.
We purchase a program. We use the program. Nobody sitting at this table has got time to make a new program,
right? Or
the energy or the want. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Now you want to hit the street or the training grounds? I'll show you what I know, or something. But But before that, I'm not going to write a new textbook. I don't want to do it. You know what I mean? I just don't have the time or energy to do it anymore, to do those things. So, but you want to go to the training grounds. This is how I was taught to tie a knot, or this is how I was taught to raise a ladder. Those things are important. Those things we got to hang on.
Well, and that's the other piece is we want to get people on the training ground. I think sometimes people think, we don't try to schedule them, but I know, at least for myself as a firefighter, I never realized, the training officers, that's not, you think of it just as your crew. So I was out there for that half day. Why can't they fill every other day? They actually do, because they're there that morning, they're there that afternoon, they're there the next morning, the next afternoon, the next morning, the next, and they're doing the same things over and over with multiple crews, because to get through all the shifts and all the crews, it takes that long. And so we want to get people out there. We want to do the hands-on, but to get that many crews through, and we're not even that big. So you look at these big agencies, you have to, it takes a lot of time. So you either have to look at extending your hours. I was just talking to one of the chiefs from police, and they're bigger than we are. And he's going, they kind of train 24 hours a day because they have to, because they have evening shift, night shift, morning shift, day shift, and they all need training. You can't, again, the city still has to be covered. So it's not like a lot of places where they just we'll just pull all our employees in for a day of training. And then when you start coupling that with the number of people and the number of shifts, in our case, the number of companies or crews, now all of a sudden there goes your month really quick.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, you drive by, and this is just, I can only speak for my organization, but you drive by our training center on days that are pleasant enough to be out there, it's full. Yeah. It's either our crews are out there, or they're with our crews are out there with the training guys, or the recruit academies that are going on. We run 2 18-week academies a year minimum. That's a lot of weeks that training ground is being used. Some classroom, they don't use it every day, but then our crews are out there. So there's opportunities to get out there. Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to kick around the idea. Just sitting at the computer the other day, watching the instructor drone on, and trying to take notes or doing whatever I'm trying to do so I don't fail the test again. So I'm trying to do those things. I'm really thinking, boy, this is not That's not how I like to learn, but I just wanted to know what other people thought. And,
The highway traffic one is the one that gets me.
oh,
Because you fail that test, you got to retake the whole
the
course.
whole class.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I'm not going to tell people how to do all this stuff, but yeah.
But I was never so happy to have Target Solutions than when I found I was a couple hours short on my EMT this year. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, crap.
Well, it is nice because, we have mandatory hours that we had to catch up. And at the end of the year, obviously we get reports. And, hey, this guy's 3 hours behind. It's December 31st. Guess what you get to do today?
Mm-hmm.
And I have it all available for you, and it's ready to go. Just click this button, and you're going to get your hours.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. And prior to this, what was the option?
I'm standing there teaching them, or
Right.
Yeah.
and I don't want to do that.
That's
Yep.
not a good option.
I'd like to shut her down in November.
It's
worth
maybe,
every dime.
maybe the option that teaches them better for next year to make sure they get
Yeah.
it done on time.
Yeah, it's funny how we do quarterly reports, and you see the numbers, and we mention if they're behind, and yep. Still, usually that would light a fire in somebody's butt to get ahead of the schedule, but not firemen.
Nope.
I'm going to save it for November, December.
Yeah, it's cold out.
Yeah.
Deadline, task-oriented individuals.
Yeah. Well, I'm not any different. You got to give me a deadline, and I work best under deadlines than I do.
Yep.
Just whenever you get it done. Yeah. Well, good luck with that. So yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to kick it around. I think people out there can visit about it, and I think it's working, to be honest with you, and it's helping us. What does the future look like? I don't know. I probably won't see it, but I don't know. I've just happened to be sent to the computer, just like every other firefighter across the country, and
The new AI injected training technologies that will be coming out.
yeah. I'm not going to talk about robots. I don't want to talk about that.
Next thing you know, you're going to be wearing fancy gloves and goggles.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Maybe when I retire, it'd be pretty cool.
Walking into walls.
You can't beat hands-on training. That's the problem. But you got to find a happy medium.
Everything in the right mix. Yep.
I can't believe how realistic this is.
Well, that's all I really had.
All right. That's all I have too. Hey, you are not going to get any computer-based training at FDIC.
When is that, like April?
That's in April.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so you can have classroom learning. You can have hands-on learning. You can have a mix of both.
You can learn how to make Target Solutions classes, I bet.
Oh, Target Solutions will be there to show you how their system works.
Nice.
So
That's awesome.
you got it all at FDIC coming up in April. If you haven't been there, go there.
Yeah, everyone needs to get there.
There you go. Otherwise, Happy New Year. Stay safe. And hey, we'll see you for the next one.
All right.
Happy New Year.
Have a good one.
Firefighters know that every second counts during the golden hour. That is why first responders trust AMKUS for simple, rugged, reliable